We spent 3 days in Brașov, a magical town in the heart of Transylvania. In this video, we cover everything we did here, from wandering its medieval streets and tasting traditional Romanian food, to visiting rescued bears, a 600-year-old Gothic church, and even the famous Dracula's castle. We began day 1 at Council Square in the old town. Here's where you can spot some of Brașov's most beautiful buildings dating back to medieval times, such as the old city hall. From here, you can also clearly see Brașov's own version of the Hollywood sign. Streets lead off to colorful houses, shops, and various attractions, all within walking distance, making it the perfect starting point for your trip. While exploring the streets, we came across a church hidden in one of the alleys. First built in the early 1780s, Orthodox Romanians weren't allowed to build churches on the main streets, so this beautiful church ended up tucked away. The top attraction in Brașov has to be the Black Church, a few steps from the Council Square, and is unlike any other church we've seen. This 600-year-old Gothic church got its name after a massive fire in 1689 blackened its walls. You can still see some of these black patches today, along with some unique-looking clocks. To enter, you must purchase tickets from the office across from the church. What immediately caught my eye were the unique pews inside. They are divided by trade guilds that once dominated medieval Brașov. Each guild, from goldsmiths to merchants, had its own set of pews. Wealthier guilds had elaborate design seats, while others had simpler ones. Another reminder of Brașov's trading heritage are the beautiful Persian carpets displayed, gifted by Saxon merchants. The church also has one of Europe's largest organs, and you can catch evening concerts for a small fee. It happened to be time for a coffee break, so our next stop was this old school cafe / confectionery. It's been around for over 30 years and is highly popular amongst locals. The interior has a charming vintage feel, like back to when these shops were all about coffee, cake, and conversation. There's a variety of traditional Romanian desserts, and we tried a tiramisu and an amadina. Both are incredible, easily S-tier when it comes to cakes. Make sure to try the cappuccino too. It's topped with a scoop of cream that makes it perfectly creamy. One of the quirkiest things in Brașov is Rope Street, known as one of Europe's narrowest streets. In fact, it's just about 1 meter wide in some spots. Built in the 17th century for firemen, it's now covered in layers of graffiti and messages. Visitors add to the scribbles every year, even though it's technically not allowed. Just past Rope Street are the Șchei Gate and Catherine's Gate, quiet reminders of a darker chapter in Brașov's past. Between the 13th and 19th centuries, German settlers barred Romanians from living inside Brașov's walls. The nearby neighborhood of Șchei became their home, and Catherine's Gate served as their only entry point. The Șchei Gate was built in the 19th century once Romanians could move more freely. As evening approached, we made our way back to the old town. The streets are lined with cafes and restaurants, alongside plenty of quirky Dracula-themed souvenir shops. We settled at Ceaun, a highly recommended food spot known for their grilled pork chop, and Samale, Romania's classic stuffed cabbage rolls. On day 2, we woke up bright and early for breakfast before heading to our first stop, the first Romanian school museum, just a 15-minute walk away. This is the oldest known school to teach in the Romanian language, located in the Șchei district. Opened in 1495 for adults, the building is now a small museum. Inside, there's a tiny classroom with the original seats that seat about 8 to 12 adult students. The museum guide explained that the school used to teach Romanian, Latin, Greek, and music. When we visited, only 2 rooms were open due to renovations, so be prepared for that. The other room had a few printing presses dating from the 1500s to more modern times. The school is actually located on the grounds of a 15th century church, which is 100% worth a visit. This was the main church for Romanians in Brașov during the Middle Ages. And now it's considered one of Transylvania's most important Orthodox sites. Something cool about Brașov is that the old town is surrounded by bastions. Each was built or maintained by a different guild, like the blacksmiths or merchants. The Black Tower is easily accessible from the old town. Built in the 15th century, the tower was named after a lightning strike blackened its walls. It was completely empty when we were there, with no crowds at all. Even though the inside isn't open to visitors, you can climb up to the top for amazing panoramic views. Another nearby fortification is the Graft Bastion. Be warned, it requires a bit of a climb, but the views from the top are pretty amazing too. Beside it is a charming path along a small river, perfect for a scenic stroll. But the Weaver's Bastion was actually our favorite, although it's about a 15-minute walk away. Built and maintained by the Linen Weavers Guild, it's beautifully preserved with wooden stairs and decks that soldiers once climbed. Walking around is free, but if you want to visit the museum inside, that's a fee. If you are up for an easy hike and want to see the Brașov's Hollywood-style sign up close, we can recommend the Mount Tâmpa hike. The trail to the summit is gentle, and it took us about an hour to reach the top. Once there, you'll find a platform behind the sign with amazing panoramic views of Brașov and the surrounding mountains. By the way, there used to be a cable car, but it was under renovation, and the cafe at the top seemed to have disappeared too. For day 3, we booked a tour to visit must-see spots around Brașov, which was perfect since we didn't have a car. Our guide first took us to the Libearty Bear Sanctuary, a rescue center for bears. These animals were saved from poor conditions in private homes or zoos and now roam freely in 69 hectares of forest. Having spent their lives in captivity, they can't survive in the wild, so this will be their home. Keep in mind there's a limited number of visitors a day, and all visits must be guided to keep both visitors and bears safe. Our guide did a great job explaining the bears' histories, and during our trip, we saw more bears than we expected, and were even lucky enough to catch feeding time. Our next stop was Bran Castle, often called Dracula's Castle. The Dracula connection is mostly for tourism, but the castle perfectly fits the image, perched on a cliff, dark and medieval, making it a must-visit for fans. In reality, the castle was built in 1377 by a Hungarian king, and later became a residence for Queen Marie of Romania. She modernized parts of it, adding lots of art and furniture. Exploring the gardens, medieval rooms, and secret passageways was fascinating, and you can spend about an hour or 2 here. There is a Dracula-themed room with exhibits on ghosts and Romanian legends, but it's not the main focus of the castle. Surrounding the castle, there are market stalls selling souvenirs and snacks. We gobbled out some traditional pastries before heading to our final stop. The Râșnov Fortress is one of Transylvania's oldest and largest medieval castles. Built in the early 13th century by the Teutonic Knights, it was used as a safe haven for villagers during attacks. While the fortress is closed for restoration, we were still allowed some parts of it. Make sure to climb to the top because the views over the southern Carpathians are absolutely stunning. If you're already making a trip to Bran Castle, I think Râșnov Fortress is worth a stop. By the way, if you're wondering where to stay in Brașov, the old town is your best bet. We found a cozy little apartment right next to Council Square, and it had a kitchen, was within walking distance of everything, and had plenty of food options nearby. Now, before arriving in Brașov, we actually spent a day in Bucharest, Romania's capital. The city has so much to offer, with plenty to explore even in just one day. Click here to watch our video now.